3 simple words, "I miss you," meant for her sister who was traveling abroad, had just been delivered to the wrong person. Not just any wrong person, but Alexander Reed, the intimidating CEO of Horizon Industries. The same CEO who rarely acknowledged junior employees, who had built a billion-dollar tech empire from nothing, and who was now, impossibly, walking directly toward her desk with unmistakable purpose in his stride. If you've ever felt that stomach-dropping moment when you realize you've made a catastrophic mistake at work, you'll understand exactly what Olivia was feeling. Stay with me until the end to discover how one embarrassing text message changed the course of 2 lives forever in ways neither could have imagined. Olivia had been at Horizon Industries for exactly 9 months and 14 days. Long enough to know her way around the sprawling office campus, but not nearly long enough to have ever had a one-on-one conversation with Alexander Reed. She recognized him, of course, everyone did. At 36, he was one of the youngest CEOs of a Fortune 500 company, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to evaluate everything with calculating precision. The company messaging system had been implemented just 2 weeks ago, a proprietary platform designed to streamline communication across departments. And somehow, Olivia's sister Emma had ended up in her work contacts because Olivia had synced her personal phone during setup. It was a careless mistake, one she hadn't noticed until this very moment. She watched in horror as Alexander Reed pushed through the glass doors of her department. Her colleagues straightened in their seats, conversations dying mid-sentence. He never came to this floor. Never. Olivia's fingers hovered over her keyboard, desperately trying to recall if there was a way to unsend a message. There wasn't. "Ms. Jenkins." His voice was low but carried across the suddenly silent office. 27 pairs of eyes swiveled toward her cubicle. Her throat went dry as she stood on shaking legs. "Mr. Reed," she managed, her voice barely audible. "I am so sorry about that message. It was meant for my sister. I completely..." He raised a hand, silencing her. Then he did something completely unexpected. The corner of his mouth curved slightly upward, not quite a smile, but something softer than his usual stern expression. "My office. 10 minutes." That was all he said before turning and walking away, leaving a wake of whispers and wide-eyed stares. Olivia sank back into her chair, mortified. She could already hear the office gossip machine whirring to life around her. "What did you do?" hissed Priya from the neighboring cubicle. "I accidentally sent him a text meant for my sister," Olivia whispered back. "What did it say?" Olivia winced. "I miss you." Priya's eyes widened. "Oh my God. You're either getting fired or promoted." 9 minutes later, Olivia stood outside the imposing oak doors of the CEO's office on the top floor, her heart hammering against her ribs. She smoothed her modest navy pencil skirt, wishing she'd worn something more impressive today. Her resume was already pulled up on her phone, she'd need it when she started job hunting this afternoon. Alexander's assistant nodded at her. "Go right in, Ms. Jenkins. He's expecting you." The office was exactly what she'd imagined, minimalist, elegant, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Seattle skyline. Alexander stood with his back to her, gazing out at the city, hands clasped behind him. "Close the door, please," he said without turning. Olivia did as instructed, then stood awkwardly, clutching her tablet like a shield. "Do you know why I asked you here, Ms. Jenkins?" He finally turned to face her. "To fire me, I assume," she said with surprising steadiness. "And I completely understand. What I did was unprofessional and..." 3 months ago, he interrupted, moving to sit behind his imposing desk, "you submitted a proposal through the company suggestion portal. A complete overhaul of our customer support system." Olivia blinked, thrown off balance by this unexpected topic. Yes. I did. It was brilliant," he stated matter-of-factly. "So brilliant that I've had a team working on implementing it for the past 2 months." "You, what?" But I never heard anything back. Alexander's expression remained impassive, but something flickered in his eyes. That was my mistake. The proposal came through anonymously. Our system is designed that way to prevent bias. When the team traced it back to you, I should have reached out. I don't understand, Olivia said. What does this have to do with my message? Alexander leaned forward slightly. I've been looking for an excuse to speak with you directly. Your message provided one. Oh. Olivia felt a blush creeping up her neck. I'm putting together a special projects team, he continued. The kind that works directly with me to identify and solve core business problems. I want you on it. Me? But I'm just a junior analyst with exceptional insight and problem-solving abilities, he finished for her. Your current position is wasting your talents. Olivia stood speechless, trying to process this dramatic shift in her professional trajectory. Unless, of course, you're not interested, Alexander added, a challenge in his voice. No. I mean, yes, I'm interested, she stammered. Very interested. Good. He handed her a folder. These are the details. The team meets tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., conference room C, don't be late. As she reached for the folder, their fingers brushed momentarily. Alexander held her gaze, and for a split second, something unreadable passed across his face. Thank you, Mr. Reed. I won't let you down. As she turned to leave, his voice stopped her. And Ms. Jenkins? Yes? About your message. A hint of something warmer touched his usually cool demeanor. Sometimes mistaken communications lead to the most interesting outcomes. The special projects team consisted of just 5 people from different departments, each hand-picked by Alexander himself. The work was challenging, innovative, and exactly what Olivia had dreamed of doing since college. For the first time, she felt her education and abilities were being put to proper use. But working closely with Alexander Reed proved to be an exercise in contradictions. In meetings, he was all business, demanding, meticulous, occasionally intimidating. Yet she'd catch him watching her sometimes, with an expression that made her pulse quicken. 3 weeks into her new role, Olivia was working late, the office floor empty except for the cleaning staff. She'd lost track of time analyzing data patterns for their current project. You should go home, came a voice from the doorway. Olivia jumped, looking up to find Alexander leaning against the frame, jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. I could say the same to you, she replied, surprised by her own boldness. Something like amusement flickered across his face. Touché. He moved into the room, taking the seat across from her. What's keeping you here so late? I think I've found something in the usage patterns. She turned her screen toward him. Look at these clusters. They show that customers are trying to use our product in ways we never anticipated. He leaned forward, studying her analysis. This is good, Olivia. Really good. It was the first time he'd used her first name, and the sound of it in his deep voice sent an unexpected shiver through her. Thank you. She hesitated, then added, May I ask you something? He nodded. Why did you really call me to your office that day? The truth. Alexander was quiet for so long that she thought he might not answer. When he did, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. Your proposal showed me something I hadn't seen in a long time, genuine innovation without concern for office politics or career advancement. It was refreshing. He paused. And then, that message, it humanized me in a way that rarely happens in my position. It embarrassed me, Olivia admitted. It reminded me that I'm more than just a CEO. His eyes held hers. People avoid me, Olivia. They're careful around me. Your mistake was refreshing. The air between them seemed to change, charged with something undefined. It's getting late, he said abruptly, standing. Let me drive you home. That's not necessary, she protested. I insist. The ride in his sleek Audi was mostly silent, but not uncomfortably so. When they reached her modest apartment building, he insisted on walking her to the door. Thank you for the ride, she said, keys in hand. Thank you for your work today, he replied. Then, more quietly, good night, Olivia. As he turned to leave, she found herself saying, Alexander? He stopped, surprised at her use of his first name. I wasn't entirely wrong, you know, she said softly. When I accidentally sent that message. The team does miss you when you're away at conferences. The energy is different. Something changed in his expression, a softening, a vulnerability she'd never seen before. Is that so? He asked, his voice low. She nodded, heart racing. He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his expensive cologne. Say it again, he whispered. We miss you when you're not there. His eyes darkened. Not what I meant. Olivia swallowed hard, understanding exactly what he was asking. This was dangerous territory, crossing lines that shouldn't be crossed. And yet. I miss you, she whispered. Even when you're in the same room. For a breathless moment, the world seemed to pause. Then Alexander stepped back, creating safe distance between them. Good night, Olivia, he said again, his voice husky. She watched him walk away, wondering what line they had just crossed, and what would happen next. The following weeks brought a subtle shift in their professional relationship. Nothing inappropriate, nothing that would raise eyebrows, but a new understanding seemed to exist between them. They worked exceptionally well together, anticipating each other's thoughts, challenging each other's ideas in ways that only improved their projects. Then came the Toronto conference. Alexander was scheduled to deliver the keynote address, and he'd selected Olivia to join the small team accompanying him. For 3 days, they would be away from the office, presenting Horizon's newest innovations to the industry. The conference itself was a whirlwind of presentations, networking, and late-night preparation sessions. Olivia thrived in the environment, impressing not just Alexander but the other executives as well. On the final night, after a particularly successful demonstration that had earned them significant interest from potential partners, Alexander invited the team for celebratory drinks at the hotel bar. One by one, the others drifted away to their rooms until only Olivia and Alexander remained, sitting in a quiet corner with the city lights twinkling beyond the windows. You were remarkable today, he said, swirling the last of his whiskey. You have a natural ability to translate complex concepts into terms anyone can understand. Thank you. She smiled, warmed by both the compliment and the single glass of wine she'd allowed herself. Your keynote wasn't too shabby either. He chuckled, a rare, rich sound that she wished she could hear more often. I've been thinking, he said after a pause. About your future at Horizon. Oh. She tried to ignore the slight sinking feeling. These conversations usually meant a transfer or reassignment. There's an opening for Director of Innovation coming up. Parker is retiring in the spring. Olivia nearly choked on her drink. That's a senior executive position. Yes, it is. His eyes held hers steadily. And you'd be perfect for it. But I've only been with the company for less than a year. There must be dozens of people more qualified. More experienced, perhaps. Not more qualified. He set his glass down. Of course, there would be challenges. Some would say you haven't paid your dues. Others might suggest. He hesitated. That I got the position for inappropriate reasons, she finished quietly. He didn't deny it. Yes. Because of that text message. A smile touched his lips. Because of what's happened since that text message. Olivia felt heat rise to her cheeks. And what exactly has happened, Alexander? He considered her for a long moment. Something unexpected. Something I haven't felt in a very long time, if ever. The honesty in his voice took her breath away. We haven't done anything wrong, she said softly. No, he agreed. But intentions matter too, don't they? She looked down at her hands. What are your intentions? Instead of answering directly, he said, I won't offer you the position. She jerked her head up, hurt flashing across her face before she could mask it. Not because you don't deserve it, he continued quickly, but because when you eventually take that role, and you will, there can't be the slightest question that you earned it entirely on merit. Relief and understanding washed over her. So what happens now? Now, he said, standing and offering his hand to help her up, I walk you to your room like the gentleman my mother raised me to be, and tomorrow we return to Seattle as colleagues who respect each other immensely. She placed her hand in his, feeling the warmth and strength of his fingers around hers. And then? At her door, he finally answered her question. And then, Olivia Jenkins, you continue to astound everyone at Horizon, including me, until the day comes when the board insists I promote you because it would be corporate malpractice not to. His eyes softened. And maybe, after that, we revisit this conversation. He brought her hand to his lips, brushing a kiss across her knuckles that was both perfectly proper and utterly devastating. Good night, Olivia. Good night, Alexander. As she watched him walk away down the hotel corridor, Olivia realized something profound. Some boundaries existed not to prevent connection, but to ensure that when connection finally happened, it was built on the right foundation. 6 months later, Olivia's team delivered a revolutionary customer interface that increased user satisfaction by 47% and decreased support calls by over 30%. The industry took notice. So did the board. Parker's retirement party was held on a Friday evening at one of Seattle's finest restaurants. After heartfelt speeches and good-natured roasting, the CEO took the stage. Before we let James escape to his fishing cabin for good, Alexander said, earning appreciative laughter, I have an announcement to make. Olivia, seated at a table with her team members, felt a flutter of anticipation. After an extensive search and unanimous board approval, I'm pleased to announce that the new Director of Innovation will be Olivia Jenkins. The room erupted in applause. No one looked surprised. Her reputation within the company had grown steadily, built on consistent results and innovative thinking. Later, as the party wound down, Olivia found herself alone on the restaurant's balcony, looking out at the city lights. She heard footsteps behind her. Congratulations, Director Jenkins, Alexander said, coming to stand beside her at the railing. Thank you, Mr. Reed, she replied, matching his formal tone but with a smile playing at her lips. I told you this day would come. You did. She turned to face him fully. Though I didn't quite believe it would be so soon. The board practically insisted. Your work speaks for itself. Pride was evident in his voice. A comfortable silence fell between them, filled with possibility. Do you remember what else you said that night in Toronto? She asked quietly. His eyes darkened with recognition. That we would revisit our conversation. I believe those were your exact words. Alexander stepped closer, still maintaining professional distance, but with an undeniable shift in the air between them. Olivia Jenkins, he said, his voice low and intimate, would you join me for dinner tomorrow night? Not as my employee, but as a woman I've come to admire tremendously. Her heart raced. I'd like that very much. Good. He smiled, a real, full smile that transformed his usually serious face. Because I've been waiting a very long time to hear you say those 3 words again, under very different circumstances. Olivia laughed softly. I'm not saying, I miss you again until I actually miss you. Fair enough. His eyes twinkled with rare humor. I suppose I'll have to give you a reason to miss me, then. As they stood together under the stars, Olivia reflected on how one mistaken message had set in motion a series of events that had changed her life. Some might call it fate, she preferred to think of it as serendipity, an accidental beginning to what promised to be an extraordinary journey. The door to Alexander's office was open as Olivia approached, a stack of reports in her arms. 2 years had passed since that first accidental message, and so much had changed. As Director of Innovation, she had revolutionized multiple aspects of Horizon's business model, earning industry recognition and the deep respect of her colleagues. "Do you have a minute?" she asked from the doorway. Alexander looked up, his face softening the way it always did when he saw her. "For you?" "Always." She closed the door behind her and placed the reports on his desk. "The quarterly projections. They're even better than we anticipated." "Excellent." He leaned back in his chair. "Join me for lunch to celebrate?" "I can't today. I have that meeting with the Singapore team." "Ah, right." He nodded, hiding his disappointment poorly. Olivia checked her watch. "But I'm free for dinner." "My place?" "I'll cook that pasta you like." The smile that spread across his face was all the answer she needed. Their relationship had developed slowly, deliberately, both of them careful to keep their professional and personal lives distinctly separate. They never arrived at work together, never left together, and maintained absolute professionalism in the office. It wasn't always easy, but it was worth it to build something real, something based on mutual respect and genuine connection. "I should get going," she said, turning to leave. "That meeting won't run itself." "Olivia," he called softly as she reached the door. She turned back. "Yes?" "I love you," he said simply. Even after hearing those words countless times over the past year, they still made her heart skip. "I love you too." As she walked back to her office, her phone buzzed with a message from Alexander. "I miss you already." Smiling to herself, she typed back 3 words that had once mortified her but now filled her with joy. "I miss you." Later that evening, as they sat comfortably on her couch after dinner, Alexander handed her a small velvet box. "What's this?" she asked, surprised. "Open it and see." Inside was a beautiful emerald ring, elegant and understated, exactly her style. "Alexander." He took her hands in his. 2 years ago, you sent me a message by mistake, and it was the best mistake that's ever happened to me. You've transformed not just Horizon, but my life." His voice grew husky with emotion. "Marry me, Olivia. Be my partner in every sense of the word." Tears welled in her eyes as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, Olivia realized that sometimes life's biggest moments sta.